Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to talk about One Small Problem. One Small Problem, also known by its original title Sin Hijos in Mexico, is a romantic comedy that centers around a man named Fidel who owns and operates a record store in his local town in Mexico. He's a little bit behind on the dating game, and the movie goes a little bit into detail as to why he's behind the dating game before it eventually kicks off with its main plot. Fidel had dreams of becoming an architect at a young age, and he was 3 credits away from graduating before he ended up having a daughter with his ex-wife, and he had to give up his dreams as a result in order to bring up his daughter Ari and be there for her. Fidel sees himself as not having the time to go back in school despite the fact that he has that course, and he sees his main goal now is to keep Ari happy, so he takes over a record shop that his grandfather used to own so that he can make ends meet and be able to provide for his family. His friends try to set him up on dates and try to do nice things for him, but they never really go anywhere. He just kind of shifts focus back to his daughter and always ends up back at square one. That is until the main plot of the movie kicks off whenever he meets a woman named Marina at his music store, and it turns out that they actually know each other. They used to be flames in the past, I think, and they end up rekindling a romance pretty quickly into the movie. We can tell that they're interested in each other, they're kissing, they're laughing, they're always going on dates and having a good time, but there's one small problem, well, actually one big problem, that ends up coming to surface, and that's the fact that Marina does not like children at all. And the way this trait came about was pretty funny in my opinion. It just shows Fidel and Marina eating at a restaurant, minding their own business, and they're having a good intimate conversation with each other, and then all of a sudden this kid keeps running around all over the restaurant with an airplane or something like that, and then Marina goes, "Can you excuse me for a minute?" And then she goes to the bartender to discuss the matter about the kid running around all over the restaurant, and she's not really raising her voice at first, but it starts to get higher and higher as it goes along to the point that she cusses out the parents in front of them, and Fidel is just cowering at his dinner table the whole time going, "Dear God, what have I gotten myself into?" So the whole premise of the movie is centering around Fidel trying to balance his romance with Marina with his responsibilities as a father to Ari, but he has to deal with the fact that Marina is not a fan of children, so Ari eventually comes up with the idea that she'll pretend to be Fidel's 9-year-old sister. Marina doesn't even know that Ari is in Fidel's life until almost halfway through the movie, and I thought that was a bit weird. I thought they were going to introduce her pretty early on, considering what the premise of the movie is supposed to be about, as opposed to taking place almost halfway through the movie. However, they do make up for lost time by that time in the movie. It shows Ari going out to do all sorts of things initially with her dad Fidel, and then she starts switching them up and doing things with Marina, and even though Marina's not a fan of children, we start to slowly see a relationship and bond growing between the two. And I like that that aspect of character development was there for Marina, the fact that she had to come to terms with her phobia and challenge it over the course of the movie, I thought was great. Fidel, on the other hand, we don't really see him addressing his fear of going back and revisiting his past so that he can go become an architect again. There is a scene that does address that a little bit whenever Fidel meets his father about 3/4 of the way through the movie, but I felt that they didn't really go into much detail as they should have at that part. A big theme that surrounds the movie is about being free and being able to chase your dreams whenever you want without having that one small problem being in the way, and that one small problem happens to be having a child. Marina has her own ambitions and goals as well. I don't quite remember what job it was that she had at the beginning of the movie and later on as well, but I know that she wanted to settle down back in her hometown in Mexico, and she wanted a nice dependable guy to do it with, and she saw Fidel as that guy to be with. However, Fidel is stuck in the past and unable to chase his own goals and ambitions because he was abandoned by his father at a young age because he went out to chase his dreams of being a musician, and he felt that the child, Fidel in this case, would hold him back from chasing that dream. While I do like that theme in theory, I do think that this movie would have benefited much better if it showed Fidel being able to balance between raising his daughter and chasing his dreams at the same time. There are many examples of people in real life that don't 100% put off their dreams all the time just because they have a child. They pick away at it piece by piece whenever they can, and eventually they accomplish their goals whenever everything is all said and done. Life is not a race. If you have a goal, you should feel free to pursue it on your own time. I'll admit that I expected a lot more energy to come out of the plot of this film, considering that most of it anyway revolves around the child, and I thought there would be a lot more fun scenes in this movie because of that, and there is a little bit, but it didn't really have that much fun of a vibe attached to it. I don't know, I just thought there were a lot of quiet scenes in this movie where there wasn't much being said and there wasn't much in the way of music. I thought that this was a very low energy movie. It really would have benefited from having a louder soundtrack and more lively scenes put in place, considering the fact that it is supposed to be a romantic comedy. I'll admit though that there are a fair few funny scenes in this movie. Most of the ones that do occur took me completely by surprise and just had me bust a gut laughing right then and there. One example I can think of is when Fidel and Marina are in the music store together and they're having a conversation about something, and the whole time this kid is playing drums in the background and there's no rhyme or reason to it. He's just hitting whatever he feels like. And this whole thing goes on for like 2 minutes, and eventually Fidel looks at the kid, he says, "Excuse me," to Marina, and then he says to the kid, he goes, "Are you planning to buy those drums?" And the kid's just like, "No." He just keeps pounding away on the cymbals and making all kinds of racket. Overall, one small problem is a harmlessly mediocre rom-com. Nothing really terrible, but nothing really all that great either. I like the fact that it has a central theme behind it, and it's not just your average rom-com that purely focuses on the romance. And the acting was very great as well, particularly the actors for Fidel and Marina. Their romance was very believable, and of course, Ari was absolutely adorable. And she's a lot smarter than you think too at times. She's always up to Fidel's tricks and always sees right through him, and I thought the dynamic between father and daughter in this regard was absolutely wonderful. But at the end of the day, even though it does have a message behind it and great acting, it's still pretty much your average rom-com. Guy meets girl, guy falls in love with girl, they end up splitting up and then end up getting back together again. It's pretty much the same formula you've seen all the time. But if you're in the mood to watch a Latin flavored rom-com and you want to see something that has a little bit more of a message behind it, I think you'll find something to enjoy in this movie. I did like this movie a little bit, and I'd love to see more rom-coms like this in the future that have a message behind it, but I also think that it could stand to liven things up a little bit. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up my review of One Small Problem. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the Brazilian comedy, Get the Goat. Bye bye!